In this video, I speedrun Minecraft while debating against BadBoyHalo. This was debated on A60's Weirdest Talk Show, and the topic was on social media platforms like Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram being banned for those who are under the age of 18. Well, I want to clarify that the sides chosen by me and Bad were random, and we flipped a coin to decide who was on who. I was defending the side for not banning it for those under 18, and he was on the side opposed to me, so he wanted it to be banned. But these were not our opinions in any way. It's just how the Weirdest Talk Show debates work. And also, if you enjoy my streams and want to see more of my content, please consider subscribing. It is free and it helps me out a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, this time we are on the radio and on everything at the same time.
We're on everything at the same time?
Yes,
That's
we
a
are
lot
on
of
the
stuff.
website, on YouTube, on everywhere.
Aw, yay. Everybody, welcome to the weirdest debates slash talk slash weirdest talk show ever. I have my special guest, Urso family.
Hello.
Urso, you want to say hi to everybody?
What's up, guys? I am Urso, a longtime Minecraft player and new back to getting into it. Let's hear it, Bad. Let's hear it.
Oh yeah, I'll start. Alright, opening arguments. Social media is evil. And it poisons the minds of the youth. Okay? Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You go on there, what do you see? Conspiracy theories. Literally conspiracy theory after conspiracy theory after conspiracy theory. And when you're not seeing misinformation, being shared by your grandparents or whoever, you know what you're seeing? You're seeing content that is not suitable for children, okay? Violent content, okay? Why should we be promoting these platforms to people whose minds have not fully developed? If anything, nah, forget about that. We need to lock social media behind all we need to lock it behind an age gate. Basically, as soon as you become a legal adult, you can go on the social media. Okay? But until then, we shouldn't be exposing the youth to these crazy ideas that the World Wide Web has to offer. It's just not safe. Let's keep them on their Neopets and the YouTubes, consuming content so that they can go out and be good little consumers. When they get older, okay? So obviously, that was a joke for anyone who didn't get the reference. But the point is, obviously, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, the platforms have been overrun with violent content that is not suitable for children, and I think we need to limit it off until people get old enough. That is my opinion.
Okay.
Boomer Boy Halo here. Let's get this going. Alright, Urso, go ahead.
So to rebuke that, Bad, or to bring up my opening argument, I'm going to say that one reason for why it's a good idea for people under 18 to be on those type of social media platforms is because while they're just, whenever they're on YouTube and such and not on these, they're just observing and, as you said, getting content. They're not learning how to interact, they're not meeting new friends, they're not able to chat as well. Because once you get on, like, say, YouTube and other platforms on, like, Twitter, Facebook, you can't really add friends and DM as well, or even have a good, coherent conversation with someone privately. So, like, I feel like on YouTube and those other apps, it's just not as easy. And I feel like as developing, as a, not even me, but as anyone who's developing and has a developing brain, having that interactions and being on Twitter and on those other type of platforms where you can talk to more people, be a little bit more yourself, and it's not just about observing content and looking at content. You can also express yourself and learn what type of person you are and so on through the internet. So I'm going to keep that as my opening statement.
Alright, Urso, I got a question for you, you defender of social media. Okay? Why are you... Or wait, no, not why. Okay, I got a question for you. Do you think that social media has any negatives?
I do think that there are some negatives, but I think the negatives are definitely outweighed by the positives that younger minds get from social media.
Oh, really? You talk about younger minds. What about all of the mental strain, the depression, the anxiety, the constant fear, and people trying to get those likes up. Do you know a lot of countries are actually trying to figure out ways to limit social media time for people? Because what has happened on a lot of these platforms is people get sort of an addiction to wanting to see the numbers go up, and it creates a lot of anxiety. When people make a post, they want to see the likes flow in, and if they don't see that, they don't feel validated. And there's a lot of depression and anxiety that's being tied into social media. And a lot of the social media platforms, ironically, are recognizing this, and they're experimenting with different ways to combat this, okay? So if this is already a problem, is this really something that we want to be perpetuating on vulnerable minds that are still developing, people who still haven't fully realized who they are as a person, are seeing this content thrown at them, and they want to constantly feel validated, so they throw stuff out there, and then when they don't get the response they want, it makes them feel depressed. Do we really want to put people who are already in a vulnerable situation in a more vulnerable situation by allowing them to continue to be on social media? I don't think we should. Well, I think what we've seen is social media has caused a lot of depression for people. And I think we need to start really thinking about serious steps on how we can combat that. And so limiting it to people whose minds are more developed and who can take that criticism a little bit better, I think will be better for us overall. What do you think?
I kind of disagree with that. I think that if we limit them, and you're looking at this from this aspect of people on the internet, young minds on the internet are going to get, like, wanting likes. The only goal of the social media is to get likes, to get people to like you. I disagree with that. Whenever I use the social media as a child, I made a lot of friends, a lot of lifetime friends that I still talk to this day that helped me grow as a person, find out what I was good and bad at. And while, yes, there might have been some things that made me depressed or scarred or sad on the internet, I feel like they were always outweighed by the good that social media could have for me. Because whenever I was younger, sometimes I can see what you're saying, but I definitely straight up think that social media has way more benefits positively for young minds, especially because it can get them relationships, more friends, especially in this time of, like, day and age where the internet is such a big part of our daily lives and everything we do. I feel like it's important that they're able to use pretty much any platform that
Okay, so let me ask you something. So you talked about you met friends on social media, right?
Yeah.
Okay, what social media platforms did you meet them on?
I've met some friends on Facebook that I would play Call of Duty with a lot. I still have them added on Facebook. I still talk to them. It's actually how I started getting into, like, YouTubing and stuff, was meeting him.
You would say that I'm a friend, right?
Definitely, you were one of the first
Where
friends.
did we meet?
We met on YouTube, but we technically met on Minecraft.
Yeah, we met on a Minecraft server.
Yeah.
So here's a question for you. Do you think that a Minecraft server is not a social media platform?
Yeah.
You don't need a social media platform to meet people online and create good connections and find good friends with. There are other ways to do it. And one of the things you brought up is you brought up people. You said that a lot of the depressions they say they have online are really from real life stuff.
Yeah.
And while I think that's debatable, I think even if you assume that that's the case, do you really want people who are struggling with real life stuff going onto the internet to social media platforms that are really large platforms, okay, and being exposed to stuff that could aggravate that depression when they're in a vulnerable time of their life, when they're not an adult yet? Because when they're an adult, they have a lot more capacity to reason and understanding and things like that. But when they're still growing up, it's a lot harder for them to separate the online stuff from the real world. So what happens when you take people who are struggling in the real world, throw them online, you throw all that online pressure at them, and now they're going to be crushed under that weight? I think, why put people in a crushing situation on both places? So the point I'm basically addressing from you is, you say people are dealing with stuff in the real world. Why do you want to add online stuff on top of that? Like, I feel like, if anything, if people are struggling in the real world, let's address that before we start saying, hey, we're going to put you in this equally pressurizing area called social media. Have fun with that. Like, I feel like that's causing a lot of struggle for a lot of people. The point I'm at saying is, do you think it's fair to take people who are struggling with real life stuff and chuck them into a place online where they're going to experience an equal or greater amount of pressure from online places before their brain is fully developed enough to deal with that?
Yes, I think that these online places are actually somewhere that can help their brain develop and honestly develop better, in my opinion. Because as I said earlier, it helped me a lot and to find out what person I wanted to be and my personality. But I also think it can just help you find what you like, your clique, even if it's just online. You can help you get away from these problems in the real life. And while yes, you said they're problems online as well, I think that these problems are much more easily manageable because while yes, they have a lot of mental anguish and a lot of emotional troubles, I think that there's not as much of that fear that there is in real life.
Hold on. I gotta stop you right there.
Okay.
Fear?
Yes. Yeah.
Dude, people are getting targeted for things they said when they were like 12, like 8 years ago on the internet. You're telling me they're not fearing? No, if anything, this was the next point I was gonna go into. Do we really want to put kids on the internet in a social media platform where they will be targeted unfairly by adults for things that they said years ago? I think the age gate is great because we can say, hey, if you're under 18, you don't get to use social media, and we're protecting you essentially from yourself, because there will be people who will see that stupid thing that you said and they will hold it against you, and you won't be able to go to college, you won't be able to get a job, you won't be able to do X, Y, or Z, and we are seeing examples of this happening daily.
Okay. Well, bad. So you're seeing examples of this happening daily, but why do you think it's so bad that these children are experiencing this? Aren't they going to experience this stuff when they're an adult anyway? You know,
I'm saying that's exactly the point. We are to protect the younger generations.
But
we don't let the younger generations go out and play with the lions and the bears, because we recognize they can't handle that. Why are we putting them and giving them access to a platform that they're not mature enough to handle, and that they're gonna say stupid things without recognizing the consequences? You wouldn't give somebody who had no experience on how to handle a gun, so why would you give somebody...
Well, how are they supposed to get experience then?
Exactly the point. We're just chucking these kids out onto the internet and saying, hey, go ahead, have fun. Don't worry. You're probably going to say something really stupid because you're a kid. And don't worry, it's only going to haunt you for forever. So have fun with that. Like, you see the problem here.
I don't know.
I've seen a couple examples of this happening already. Okay? Where some kid will say something and people call up the college they're trying to go to, or they call up their teachers and get them expelled from like school. Okay? Literally, we are seeing examples of this happening in the real world. Kids and people under the age of 18 and kids say stupid stuff.
Yes.
Okay? They do. And the point is, if you're going to give them access to social media platforms, they're going to be treated like adults. Okay? And that is the problem. A lot of these kids do not realize that the stuff they're saying online could, and in some cases will, haunt them for the rest of their life. Should we be basically giving them that weapon to do damage to themselves with? You see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying, but I think that it, like I've said before, I really strongly believe that this, while yes, you say they have to get used to it and they have to do this eventually, isn't it just kind of like just like giving them like a participation trophy in life if they're just like, hey, you can't experience this till you're 18. You're gonna have to just wait till you get to the big boy stuff of the internet. You know, there's no coming to it early, no trying to be mature early. I don't know. I feel like as a young mind and having these like experiences online, I feel like it just has to help them grow and be more mature. Seeing this stuff younger, it's just a different story, whereas you're sheltered your whole life, and then the first time you experience, it's a lot to handle, and sometimes you might not know how to act, and sometimes you might not know what to do in a situation like that when you're older. So maybe getting this like early on experience might be useful, not only with just learning how to combat, but also how to react, so you're not just adding to the negativity that some adults bring, and just people in general just are very negative, not kind to others. It's just like you could learn a lot through your early, because it's whenever your brain is developing the most. It's whenever everything in life is just booming.
So you're saying that people need the experience in order to grow?
Yes, I definitely think that if you have this experience, it definitely can help you grow more so than others.
One of your reasons was that we should let them go onto social media so they can get an experience of that, so they can see what the world is like. That's not all cupcakes and rainbows. That was basically what you were saying.
Yes, but the hate.
And I'm saying people already have enough to deal with IRL.
But it's their choice if they want to use that platform.
They're not an adult.
But they
That's
could
the
still
point.
they could still make a coherent decision. They get to
If a child wanted to eat candy and nothing but candy, a parent goes, well, it's their choice. No! The parents goes, no, I'm not going to let you eat candy because that's not good for you. Okay? And that is the point. We are not treating social media like how we should. We're not even treating the internet like we should. We are giving kids access to this place where they can be mobbed, and then we're like, when it happens, we're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe a bunch of strangers dogpiled them. Like, really? You're let your kid go out there. How are we surprised that this is happening? That is why, if parents aren't going to step up, we need to step up and keep kids offline. I'm sorry for yelling. I'm just taking this very seriously. I think it's...
I see what you're saying, and I see it's valid. I still disagree with you in the fact that this platform and them being able to use these platforms that we as adults use is completely fine. It's not like you're just going to say, oh, you can't go, like, say you can go to a bar with your father if they're over 21, they bring you. It's not just like, oh, you can't go into a bar because you're not 18. You're not allowed to go here, so no coming in. There are restrictions. There are parental guidelines that can be used on these applications. It's okay for these younger minds to be seeing everything that we have to say on social media. Maybe there could be some restrictions on some words that if you're under 18 you can't see these words or type something like that, but that's completely different than just saying, hey, you straight up can't use this platform because you're not of age. I just feel like that's unfair. You live your 18 years of life inside a house only using certain platforms.
Why are we putting that pressure on people whose brains haven't fully developed, who aren't legal adults? That's crazy. You feel me?
It's definitely crazy, but I think you might be looking at this in the wrong manner. While yes, they're not legal adults yet, wouldn't you say the mind of someone who's, say, like 15, 16 is pretty close to being mature, much more mature than you would say of that someone who's 12 or even 10, which we both know there are those ages on the internet and on Twitter and all these social medias we're talking about. Wouldn't you say that it's a little bit different for these people? It's sort of like a part of life, as you could so say, to using these social media platforms created by us. It's just like you're missing out sort of on a whole sense of a culture.
Were you missing out on anything when you didn't have social media platforms?
No.
Look, there was a part of my life where I didn't have social media platforms. And guess what? You still are being exposed to things in real life. You've enough to deal with IRL, okay? And you're going to get exposed to the culture through other platforms, through television, through movies, through music, etc. Okay? The difference is you can get exposed to that stuff without also destroying your life. You can watch movies, watch TV, listen to music, and get exposed to the culture without potentially ruining your future. And that is the crux of my argument, okay? We're taking a vulnerable generation or a vulnerable group of people that minds have not fully developed, and we're putting them in a situation where where all of the benefits you keep talking about, they can get from real life, right? From interacting with people. So they have the access to other benefits, but we're also, by giving them access to social media, giving them access to so many risks.
Okay.
And that is why I'm saying, because what we've seen with parents not managing social media, because the social media platforms themselves aren't doing anything to curb this, again, social media addiction, depression, all of these things I brought up, I think we need to put a stop here. And we need to say, you cannot use these platforms unless you're 18. That's what I think.
Okay.
Go ahead, make your final address my points and make some points, and then we'll get into closing arguments. Okay.
Okay. So another thing I wanted to bring up is while being on social media can be negative and you're trying to protect them and protect their future from making mistakes and so forth, I don't think that that is valid enough to be as a whole reason to not use a whole platform. As parents and as the adults of the world, we should be instilling good values and good minds on these younger adults, younger children, younger minds. They shouldn't just be going willy-nilly, posting whatever they think, posting all this stuff that's going to ruin their career. We should be doing better as a civilization and as a cultural. I don't know, but as a whole, I feel like we should just be working better towards to help these younger minds be able to, instead of just having to rely on protection or not using this or not doing that. They should. I feel like being more open and free with them can help them become more who they truly are, and in general, just a better human being, more well-rounded, all in all.
And I'd agree with that.
As Bad has been saying that we got to keep them protected and so on and so forth. I just think that this protection and scrutiny on keeping these younger minds huddled and protected and hidden, just so that their future is not blown, or just so that they don't experience more trauma, more depression, I think that is all just not valid. It seems much more logical that if we let these minds go out and grow, be what they truly need to be or what they want to be, not just saying you can't do this because you're not 18, but they can go play on the football team or do this or even join the military or right before they're 18 and do ROTC. They can do all these things, but they can't use the internet. They can drive. I just think that's just unfair, and I think that if we let them use the internet, let them use these more scrutinized, more vulgar platforms, that maybe it will help. While yes, it might harm some, it might help more to see how the world is and to see how they need to act to be a good person. And that is all I got to say for now.
Thank you, Urso.
Thank you.
Look, Urso has made a lot of good points, and I'm glad that he has addressed that there are problems with social media. Okay? However, one of the points that he's made is he thinks that by letting people whose minds aren't fully developed, who aren't mature enough, who don't realize the consequences of their action on social media, we're getting them exposed to a dose of the real world, okay? And I think that is totally backwards, okay? I think that, again, the point that their minds are not fully developed, that they don't understand the consequences of their actions, is the very reason why we shouldn't be giving them access to a tool that is becoming more dangerous by the day due to the amount of people who are using it, the amount of targeted attacks people are doing against people who say stuff they disagree with online. I think the amount of harassment the youth feel in today's generation, just in the real world, okay, I'm talking about offline, should be a good hint as to the fact that adding on just so much more additional harassment so that they can essentially be harassed from anyone, anywhere in the world is ludicrous. And I think anyone who sits there and thinks about it for a couple minutes can see that. They can see that, hey, this is a problem. The fact that people have not been sitting there and managing their kids' social media, they have not been keeping an eye on that at all, and that they have been giving them free reign to the internet, shows parents aren't going to do anything about it. It's time that we as a society step up and do something about it, just like we had to do something with vapes, okay, regardless of people's opinions about it. The point is, when we as a society see a problem, we step up and we address it. The amount of depression, social media addiction, mental problems that come from online social media is something that adults can handle, but we should not be giving free reign to that to our kids. And that, I think, everybody should agree with.
Okay, so I get one last sentence.
Closing sentence, yes.
One last thing I want to say is you can drive a car and join ROTC before you can use Twitter based off what Bad is saying. That does not seem okay, guys. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Ursa. Okay, guys, that's pretty much
That was
it.
the last good sentence.
Thank you.
A good last sentence.
Had to get them thinking, you know?
So since we managed to do a poll earlier, we're gonna do another poll, I guess, on
Yes!
the YouTube.
We are. Now, before you put the poll...
That was a really huge yes.
Hold on. Before you put the poll, I just want to say I think this has been a pretty good debate. Here we go, guys. Hey, everybody. We're back, and it looks like the results are in. Everybody,
Yup.
it looks like 766 of you voted, and the poll ended with 59% tie. Not sure what the others numbers were, but it looks like
25% of votes for you, Bad, and 14 for Ursa.
nice.
Nice.
So it looks like tie by
Wow.
a crazy margin. Oh my gosh. One. So congrats, Ursa, it's a tie.
Congrats, Bad. I guess this
Yay.
means I'll be seeing you in the future.
Yes, you can come back for another debate. That was fun, I gotta say. So everybody who is tuning in or tuned in late, just keep in mind, everything we said during that debate show was not necessarily our actual opinion. Okay, we were both doing a good job defending our position we were assigned. We might not actually have believed anything we said, so keep that in mind. We were just defending it. And that's the point of the debate show, is to defend an argument that you may not necessarily hold. So I hope you guys thought that was interesting. I enjoyed that one.
So if you have made it this far into the video, I just want to say thank you for watching everything, and I hope you enjoyed the debate. Some things to keep in mind that, as Bad said earlier, everything said in the debate was not actually our opinions. And I would like to see what you guys think. So let me know who you thought won the debate in the comments, or what your opinions were on this topic. And don't forget to like and subscribe